Guys, I am very excited to announce that Philly Sports Trips is now the official travel partner of the Ball podcast. The biggest reason why I've partnered with Philly Sports Trips is really simple. I give them my money. I have a mini vacation that involves the Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies, and I don't have to lift a finger to plan anything. I can party as light as I want or as hard as I want, and Philly Sports Trips takes care of everything that I hate. The planning, the organizing, researching where to go, and I get a 5-star hotel, non-crazy flight schedules, and tailgates that have unbelievable food and booze, and most importantly, it's a douchebag-free zone. These are just some of the many reasons that I am excited to partner with Philly Sports Trips. I can't wait to go on a Sixers trip next season, and Ball is absolutely going on the road to at least one Eagles game. So let me know which Eagles game you would want to go to, and I would love to do a huge Ball road trip. Out of all the cities, I'm thinking New York or Chicago, but I want to know what you guys think as well. So tweet at me at TrillBroDude, DM me, comment on the YouTube, and let me know which Eagles game you guys think we should go as a group this season. Phillies and Eagles trips are booking right now. So head over to phillysportstrips.com and let them know that Ball sent you for two very important reasons. Not only does it help fund the podcast, but we'll have VIP events and goodies specifically just for Ball listeners. phillysportstrips.com, premium travel for every Philly sports fan, and a proud sponsor of the Ball podcast. So what's going on? How we doing? All right, so we are going to get into the mock draft in a little bit. Let me do a little roundtable here, introduce everyone. I'm your host, TrillBroDude. We have here for the first time on the podcast, Dash, a.k.a. the Troops NBA. What's up, Dash?
What's going on, guys? Honor and privilege to be with my esteemed colleagues tonight.
amongst Hoopers, amongst dogs here on the podcast. And then we also have Daniel making his second appearance. What's going on, Daniel?
Not much, man.
Let's get it. And then we have the returning champion, AJ, aka Mr. Parm. What's going on,
How's it going? Thinking a lot about that ad, to be honest with you.
I love
Mr.
it. So
Mr. New York.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Forgetting about East Rutherford, New Jersey. I see you.
You know the vibes. All right. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna do the first round mock draft. Some slop time as we got going on in the comments. So I'm gonna pull up on my screen right now the mock draft. Hold on. Share screen. All right. Cool. All right. So we have. Can you guys see this on your screen right now?
Yes, indeed.
Sweet. All right, so we have with the number 1 pick, Dash, you are up. You are on the clock. Number 1 pick, Orlando Magic. Who are you going with?
So I was thinking about this a lot. I was between Paulo and Jabari, and I kept reflecting on one of the modern philosophers of our time, Ball Don't Stop. And the game is about a bucket, right? So I'm going with Paulo here. I think he's the most offensively skilled guy in the draft. You have someone that can get a bucket from the elbow against anybody. I think he finished something like 25 or 30 and ones in college this year, which is just going to translate immediately in the NBA, that ability to fight through contact. And then you have this other angle. I actually was thinking about it like 10 minutes before I got on the show is Paul has to do this for the Italian-American community, right? Because the last Italian that was drafted number 1 was Bargnani in 2006.
True. He has to redeem his people.
So he needs to redeem that for the community.
I agree. That's actually the most important thing to me. That he redeems the Italian, the nation of Italy, and overall, I do think that with this first pick, so I would pick Paulo. I'm a Paulo's number 1 guy. I agree. Game is about a bucket. Ball don't stop philosophy. I think he has the best chance to become the number 1 guy on a contender. And I think that's what's most important when you're picking at the top of a draft. I think that Orlando's just going to pick Chet here. Like, I think, as we talked about before we got on the air, they're the wingspan team. That's what they go for. They're going to go for the Mo Bambas, the Bulls. They pretty much are just trying to collect literally every guy with a near 8-foot wingspan on one team. And it's going to be a great experiment. Very similar to what's going on in Toronto, but just kind of the center version of that instead of the wing version. So I think they're gonna go with Chet up top. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I would probably say so.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Jabari, but I agree with you that they're so wingspan pilled that
That being said, Paolo is to me like the guy to pick out of the top three.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be controversial a little bit when I came on here, but I'm really happy to be among friends and know that this is the correct take, because it's almost like there's too much noise about Jabari, right? The Magic don't really leak that much, and Boney won't stop talking about Jabari. You see it at The Athletic. You see it everywhere you read draft news. So it almost feels like the ultimate smokescreen, right?
Yeah, so the Magic and the Thunder both don't leak. They're both known for not leaking. So anything that you read leading up to the draft probably is a smokescreen, trying to get teams to trade up if they really want a guy that's at the top of the draft. I think that's ultimately why they do end up taking Chet here. But Chet is, as good as Chet is, he is not a hooper, and that's what we're looking for here at the top of the draft. We're looking for hoopers and dogs. I do think that if this were to be the way that the board broke out, that the Thunder, Daniel's up next with his pick with the Thunder, I think they would probably pick the person who you're going to pick.
Yeah, so I personally at this point would pick Chet. What has been said about him, I think that they're kind of getting to the point where you can't really effectively tank beyond this. I think SGA is going to be too good. I think they've got a nice roster of auxiliary pieces now, and they're going to kind of go through that Grizzlies thing.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to get your final piece and kind of lock in that respect. AJ brought up an interesting point, which is that Jabari is a year younger and will probably be asked for a little while. So the goal is to continue tanking further, then maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah, gotta have Scoot, baby. It's all coming up Scoot Henderson.
Boot for Scoot.
The Thompson twins. So the next draft, as we've discussed, is much better than the one that this one. So I do think, and this was something that OKC fans yelled at me for when I said, would there be potentially an SGA trade where they could trade SGA so that they're worse next year, and maybe it could be for a prospect like Maxey, and they got very mad at me and told me no, I was wrong and stupid. So I do think that they're probably going to take. So you took Chet with the second pick, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So we're going to throw Chet up there. I think this is definitely not a hooper or a dog. So I do think that they would definitely take Chet. That the way that OKC is team building is just very weird. They like weird players. They drafted Poku, who was the OG Chet, as people have called Chet, imperialist Poku. Pituitary gland Tyler Hero. He's got a long list of names going on, and we're just going to continue to add to that throughout the years. But I do think that the OKC thing, they're going to draft him because right now they got Giddey last year. I'm just going down white guys, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. Presti is going to draft him because of the fact that he has the incredible wingspan and skill set and shit like that. People think that a lot of people think Chet's going to suck at the next level. I, at first, was like, I don't know what to make of this dude. But having watched him enough, I'm like, I think that his floor is being underestimated is something that we've talked about before. It's at worst, the worst case scenario for Chet Holmgren is that he's a solid role player. I feel I think people think they just see him and they're like, oh, he's going to be out of the league. And then I'm like, no, he's actually extremely good. He would preferably put on some weight. He'll probably have to play the 4 at the next level because he's not big enough to play center. And then we'll kind of just he'll kind of go
next for a year or two.
What's that?
Yeah, I think that
you're forgetting about the time-honored tradition in the National Basketball Association of consuming a plentiful, balanced breakfast of human growth hormone.
Can we get him to Miami Heat somehow so he can get on the Pat Riley plan?
he doesn't even need to be that strong to bang when he's just going to be a weak side help protector at the rim.
Exactly.
He's just going to come over and block shots, and like he's not the first line of defense, and that's how they'll probably use him as a roamer. But like you were saying about the team building with the Thunder, it's kind of like a manic Nate Duncan style of building where you think that switchability is the ultimate grail, and you're like, let me collect all these gadget guys, the Pokus, the Robinson Earls that can guard up and down, even though they're like not that good at it. It's all just theory. It's really, really interesting to me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and I do think that I think just kind of like I do think that there's a weirdness about this team. I think that they really have no idea what the fuck they are yet. They're literally just like they're going through their process phase where they just are like, all right, let's collect as much possible talent as we can, and then we'll figure out who the keepers are later. Presti has 7 million picks. If he wants to move up in a draft, he'll probably be able to at some point. Like next year, let's say OKC is too good this year to get into the top 5 next year. Do you guys think that like there is a world where he's just like, here's 10 first-round picks, give me Victor Wembanyama, and does a team say yes?
I mean, you gotta. It's 10 picks.
Do you? Like I'm just saying, like, first off, I don't think that this is like Presti's mindset, generally speaking, is not move up. Like, he's a move back guy. He's like he has Hinkie Maury brain where it's like, I'd rather collect more assets and move back in a draft than move up in a draft. But if it gets to the point where you like, what do they have? 19 first round picks over the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. You literally, there are 15 spots on an NBA roster and they've already drafted like 5 or 6 guys. Like, at a certain point, you're literally going to run out of players.
Yeah, I think it depends on how good they are next year. Because if they're good enough that they're like one piece away or something, then I think it's more likely to trade for like a disgruntled superstar than like go back and get Vic. And I also don't really know if anyone would give up Wembanyama. But
yeah, I'm not sure they would either.
I think that the conversations we're having about Chet's frame are going to come up again with Wembanyama next year, whether it's fair or not. Like, he is super skinny for being 7'3" or 7'4". Mm-hmm. It's unavoidable. Some owner, some GM might be like, I'm not about that and open to the picks. All it takes is one team. So I do think it's for sure possible someone says yes.
Well, that's the great battle of this draft, though. It's the great battle of this year's draft is really tall, rail-thin, three-point shooting bigs versus just the biggest, chunkiest hosses you've ever seen in an NBA draft before.
That's the way
to break it down. Boys.
All right, speaking of that, you were up on the clock, Parm, with the third pick in the draft, the Houston Rockets select.
This is obvious. He's the only one of the 3 left. He's also a hooper. This is the hooper team. It's Jabari Smith. And then you trade Christian Wood.
All right. Who are we trading Christian Wood for? That's interesting.
To be quite honest with you, I feel like Rockets fans are like the Sixers fans with Tobias in December and January. Like, they'd trade him for a bag of mulch. Like,
oh, yeah,
just
absolutely.
Get him out of here.
Oh, yeah, no. My favorite thing that Rockets Twitter likes to do is they like to be like, Christian Wood is the worst player I've ever seen in my life. And then we're like, all right, well, would you trade him for like PJ Washington? And they're like, are you fucking serious? Like, I don't know. PJ Washington's pretty good. Like, last year I proposed a PJ Washington for a Christian Wood swap and got a bunch of Rockets fans got mad at me. And I'm like, I bet you they would take that right now. I bet you they would go back on that now and do that. So Jabari Smith goes 3. Okay. So Jabari's kind of a weird prospect because when I was introduced to him around March Madness, when everyone was talking about him, it was always like he was getting the Kevin Durant comps. He was getting the tall shooter, shot creator comps. And as we get closer to the draft, it seems like there's been a little bit of pushback in terms of teams more draft Twitter and people like scouting stuff on there are like, I don't want to say anti-Jabari, but they're like not as high on Jabari as the NBA, it seems. Like, it seems like they think that he's more like the 3rd or 4th guy, whereas some people would argue he's as high as like he should be the number 1 overall pick. So like, what is Jabari Smith is my question.
I think that's part of the issue. Is I think the comparisons that he draws are like KD and shit like that, and with just simply because there's not really like a fair comparison for him and his skill set and his size. And I think like some of the pushback on him as a high prospect is just reaction to how much he's being hyped up just by virtue of those comparisons.
Yeah.
Like I still think he's a top 3 talent.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, if you were playing a drinking game and we were talking about draft Twitter terms, you would have to bring up self-creation, right? And you guys saw that picture going around. It was like Jabari had 96 shots on 93 dribbles this season.
Right.
He doesn't
play stat.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You have the KD comparison. KD was draining dribble pull-ups at Texas.
Yep.
Right.
You know? So it's how much can he develop that handle? Is it like Paul George, where he's all of a sudden able to dribble and incredible in that way? Or is he just going to be a play finisher? I don't know. I like him a lot, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if he is a play finisher that is an insane catch and shoot guy that also plays really good defense at his size, it sounds like a pretty good fucking player to me. Like, once again, I don't know if I take him number 1 overall because he might not have the upside of Chet and Paolo, but it does certainly seem like if you can get him at 3 or 4, that is like a real steal just based on kind of everything I've seen from him and also just like what he projects to be. So I think you got to be happy with him or the person I'm going to take next. So I'm going to take with the Kings with the 4th pick. I'm going to take Jaden Ivey just because he's the best player on the board. I know that he is like top hooper of this draft other than Paolo maybe. And
I don't like it.
The reason that I'm taking Ivy is because if you are Sacramento, once again, Sacramento is basketball hell. It's not a good situation for pretty much any prospect. Just generally speaking, their history of drafting has been total dog shit. And developing guys has been bad. All of that. But if you're Sacramento, you can't be drafting based on – you just can't draft based on, like, fit or whatever because you haven't made the playoffs literally since Bush was in office. You can't sit here and tell me that that team is talented enough to be, like, looking over draft picks and being like, yeah, no, we want to get Keegan Murray or someone like that because they're going to help us win right away. Like, no. You take the best prospect on the board that has the most upside, and you go from there. The fit might not be great with De'Aaron Fox there, but you figure that stuff out later because you just traded away Halliburton for Sabonis for some reason we still can't figure out. And if you were them, just collect talent and try to figure out the rest later is my whole thing.
I guess. I don't like it, but you're right.
I mean, having said all that, though, they're taking Keegan Murray.
100. I kind of think they should. That's my hot take on this one because, like, I don't remember if you said it at the beginning of the pod or before we started recording, but like, anytime Sacramento gets like a young prospect, they just go there and fizz out, you know, and they don't really reach their potential. And I think part of that is just like there is zero culture. Not to be like a culture guy. And not saying that he can, I love big culture guy. But I feel like Keegan Murray is just so normal and like fine and like low floor or high floor, low ceiling that like at the very least you're gonna have a foundational piece to build on. And I kind of feel like they just need something.
Yeah, I feel you.
I don't know. I don't think Ivy is leagues ahead in terms of talent from a guy like AJ Griffin or Sochan.
Griffin would be cool too.
And I as you know, Chemezi Medu, Marvin Bagley, like you name it. Like I am here. I'm a Kings optimist every year. I think this is finally the year they can draft a 19-year-old and it might work for them. They have a new coach. He's a vibes administrator. Shoot for the stars, Vivek. You can get your star wing. You can get your star Harrison Barnes replacement. You can make it happen.
I just want to say that Daniel said, the prospects never reach their ceiling there. The one that had potential to, they were like, all right, see ya immediately. He liked it there.
Yeah, I know. They cut Harry Giles for no reason. Really fucked up.
Yes, I'm talking about Harry Giles, obviously, here. But yeah, so yeah, just take Ivy. He is a hooper. It seems to be okay. There are a few knocks on his game, but he's still 20 years old. He's an incredible athlete, very good shot creator. I think out of the guys that are left on the board, he has the best chance of becoming a star. And Sacramento doesn't even have real stars. Like Sabonis and Fox are fake stars, in my opinion, and I wouldn't worry about anything other than just trying to get a star. So I'm taking Ivy there. Once again, I think they either try to trade back, they'll either try to trade up, trade back, or they just take maybe they take best player available. They did look at him apparently. Like they went to his workouts, they were following him and stuff, but it just seems like such a move to me where they take the quote unquote safer pick with a Keegan Murray type here.
Vivek went to the Ivy workout. He was the only owner I saw that went, which makes you think that either the Kings are getting driven by an absolute demon who's making the decisions for them, and that's why they suck, or I don't know.
Well, maybe honestly, Vivek, the weird thing about him is he seems overly involved in decision making, but my thing with him is if that is the case and he's this guy that cares so much about making the play-in or the playoffs or whatever, why did they never make any aggressive moves under Monty McNair until this year? The first aggressive move that they made was trading their best player for Sabonis.
The only draft pick they've hit on in decades since the NBA was established?
Yeah.
Insane, dude.
It's who was the last draft pick? Okay, so
the one that they also did a massive trade for, and it blew up in their face, and they ended up with fucking Buddy Hield for way too long.
Boogie Cousins. Okay, so yeah. So the last time before Halliburton, it's not to say that Fox isn't good, because Fox is good. And he is definitely, all things considered, probably better than your average 5th overall pick where he went. But they ended up investing so much fucking money into him that they had to trade away their other really good prospect after they maxed him. So even if that's considered a win for them, you would have to go back to Cousins to say this is a win that, and I guess Boogie didn't even really result in anything either, but that's not necessarily his fault. He was, Halliburton and Boogie are the only two I can even think of. It's fucking crazy. But all right, let's get into next pick, 5th pick. Dash, you're on the clock. Detroit Pistons, who are they taking?
So I was really hoping that Ivy would fall here because I'm intrigued by the idea of just trying to get the best backcourt as possible with Cade. So I think I'm going to make a surprise pick here and take Ben Mathurin from Arizona.
Ooh,
this guy who I really do like him because he's so good off the catch. His release is high as shit. It's not going to get blocked very often. Detroit desperately needs some athleticism. Cade, he's crafty, he's smart, he can get to the basket, but there's no one that has a ton of pop on that team. And Mathurin, if you watch that game against, I think it was TCU in the tournament, he has the dog in him for sure, that 31-point performance. And his passing got so much better as the season went on. So I really like the idea of trying to get Cade the Killian Hayes replacement, because we all know that Killian's going to be back in Europe in a year or two. And I think that could be Mathurin.
To quote Beat on Draft, all French players are shitty athletes. So
oh my God.
Should have seen that one coming. But
I have to believe in Killian Hayes. I believe in my quarterback has the same titanium old person hip. I just gotta have faith in both.
Yeah.
You see the best in people, don't you?
I just believe that medical advancements are a wonderful, wonderful new technology. They're only getting better every year. Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. That would have been a career ender in 1997.
It's true. Dash, you know all about this. You're a Nuggets fan, so obviously you know. Jamal Murray coming back off the torn ACL next year. You know, the advancement of modern medicine. It's a miracle, folks. What I'm trying to say is Killian Hayes will make an All-Star game one day for sure. Absolutely.
They will develop the exoskeleton for Michael Porter Jr.
So the last serious injury we had where we knew about this, the surgery was Gallinari a few years ago. And he went to get this experimental fusion surgery in Germany where they fused some tendons together in your knee and they went the wrong way. And after a few months, he just had to run it back and get the new ACL surgery again, just a standard surgery. So,
oh my God,
medicine can be scary, guys. It really can be.
That sounds great. And now the throne will be taken from him as the best Italian player. Paolo, our sweaty king, Paolo will be overthrowing Gallo. But okay, so going back to your Mathurin pick, I have to say, last time I talked about Mathurin, I was not high on him. I went back and I watched some film of him and I read some more about him, and I didn't realize that he had this potential to be like a really good shooter as well. And I was like, okay, well, if he's that level athlete, has the dog in him, has the hooper in him, and he can shoot, and he's like hitting on a wing in the draft. Like we talked about this, like I generally speaking hate those like athletic toolsy wing type guys because I feel like they end up sucking like 80% of the time. But if you can hit on a wing in this kind of pick, like that's massive. Like it's impossible to acquire two-way wings in the modern NBA. So you might as well try on, like, I feel like there's going to be a ton of swings on guys that are in that mold of two-way wing because like, I'm watching the Sixers right now and I'm like, how the fuck do we get these players? Like we literally have none of them and we need to acquire them. And it seems to be impossible. So I actually don't hate the Mathurin pick there, all things considered. I think this is now we're getting, once you get past the top four, it's kind of just like there's a bunch of guys in one tier and you can just pick whoever from that tier and I'd be fine with it. So yeah. So next pick we have is Daniel. You have the 6th pick, Indiana Pacers.
Yes, I do. So I will say first, the Pacers are going to take Keegan Murray. It's going to happen. I'm not taking Keegan Murray because I'm not like that, but they are addicted to old guys who do like one thing. I was torn because part of me is really interested by Dyson Daniels. He's like a defender. He playmakes. I think he had like the fastest shuttle run at the combine. And like he shot really well, which they weren't expecting. But I am kind of legally obligated to pick my guy, and my guy is Jeremy Sochan.
Wow.
So,
all right. Folks, we're scrolling down to Jeremy Sochan.
Oh, you fucked
Tell us
me.
about Sochan.
Sochan is the fucking truth. So my favorite player in the NBA is Draymond. And I think he is just going to be like Neo Draymond. When he was in the green room for his combine, he said he thought of himself as a younger Boris Diaw, which is awesome.
Yeah,
he like freaked out meeting Manu Ginobili. He's a dog. He's a problem. He's switchable. He can guard any position. He playmakes. I just think he's interesting and he'll do something different. And like I think the Pacers just need like an infusion of something. And I love the idea of him and Tyrese playing together. I think it's a lot of fun.
Nice. All right. So also noted that he does have the same hair as Frank Ocean on the cover.
Oh yeah.
Of Bond,
He has a bunch of hairstyles.
My favorite album of all time, so I already love him. He has a weird backstory, right? Like,
yeah, he's factually currently at this very moment the second greatest Polish hooper of all time behind Marcin Gortat.
And he has a British accent, and he's from Oklahoma or something, right?
Yeah. So he was born in Oklahoma, has a British accent.
So
he lived in Poland. I don't know. He's kind of
his dad's Polish.
So he was born in Oklahoma. He played high school ball in Oklahoma. No, his parents played in Oklahoma. He grew up in England. And then his mom came over from Poland, and then he got like her citizenship.
Did you know his favorite player?
He grew up in Oklahoma and he just had a British accent and like just never explained it.
That would be sick.
Bill Simmons loves him too.
No.
Oh, great sign. Great
I think
sign.
that you can see it as a bad sign or you can see it as a good sign. He was talking about it on one of the pods that I initially started listening to, ironically, but now I listen to
Because I'm brain poisoned. Yeah. I literally started doing it as a bit, and now I'm like, I actually kind of fuck with Ryan Russillo's opinions on these things. I will say that, so when it comes to draft stuff with Bill is very good at, I will say, I think he's very good at picking guys who, like, are at least, like, going to be rotation players in the NBA, I should say. Like, he was, like, in on, like, you know, he liked Halliburton. He liked, like, Thibault. He takes, like, safe picks, right? Like, he's like, okay, I'm going to take the guy that I think is going to, like, clearly be a rotation player in the NBA. But he never, like, I don't think that he ever is, like, hitting on, like, the big upside swing picks. And the thing about Sochan is, like, isn't that, like, the idea of him is that, like, he's going to come in and be a defensive monster. And then you hope that you could just develop his offensive game to the point where he is, like, a legit two-way player.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, well, it depends on what you consider a two-way player, because I think he already has, like, a big offensive skill set. It's just not really shooting.
Right.
And so I think on a team with Halliburton and I guess, like, TJ Warren still, or whoever they end up getting beyond this, like, I like the idea of him being the primary facilitator. I like the idea of him sort of being, like, the glue guy. But, yeah, ideally the shot would come along.
Yeah.
To some extent.
All right. So what I think he'll probably end up going a little bit lower on draft night, but I could see a team just, like, loving him for the tools and the upside of it. He's still 18. I think he turns 19 soon. Like, he definitely has a ton of potential. So we'll see. All right, Parm, you're up on the clock. Number 7, you have the Portland Trailblazers.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, that's tough.
First off,
this is
really
hard.
Before you pick, are they going to trade this pick is the question, because they literally just hired Mike Schmitz, and they're, like, still entertaining offers for the 7th pick, and I'm like, why did you hire the draft guy? Why were you like, we need to get Mike Schmitz in so we can trade the pick immediately?
I don't know. I think what blew my mind was the news about Phil Knight buying the team.
Well, he's trying to, but he's not.
But if he does, Dame has to leave.
Oh, because he's Adidas?
Dame is an Adidas athlete. Phil Knight's not going to fuck around and have the star player of his team not wearing Nikes.
Yeah, it's true.
So
he's
for
going to be
that
playing
reason,
sicko
they
mode in
draft
the locker
Shaedon
room,
Sharpe.
checks over stripes. It's not a good look.
What?
I said he was going to be playing.
You could do 7 and Dame for Jeremy Grant. And really, really please Phil, right? Because that's the thing, is this pick going to be moved for Jeremy Grant, who is not good playing in right now and is not going to be your number 2 next to Dame. So I hope they have a great time doing that.
I don't really understand the infatuation from Portland with Jeremy Grant. Like, it's funny because it's like, we finally traded away CJ McCollum. Let's immediately get a high pick and then trade it for Jeremy Grant. But generally speaking, like, the outcome of the 7th pick isn't always the greatest thing in the world. Like, sometimes it's just, like, not a guy. Like, you at least know Jeremy Grant's a guy, but then you immediately have to trade for him, give up the 7th pick, and then from there give him like $100 million contract. It seems genuinely psychotic, and I don't really understand why they would do it. But Parm, you're up. Who are you picking?
So I kind of think that I would say the consensus here would be that it's regardless, like, Phil Knight jokes aside, like, they probably should, like, cut their losses and try to get the tank started and get rid of Dame. Do I think that's going to happen? No. So if they don't trade the pick, who I think they would draft in this scenario would be Keegan Murray, who I think they should draft, because you might as well just cut your losses. Just get Shaedon Sharpe or AJ Griffin. So I'll say AJ Griffin because he's a little more polished.
All right.
And you've actually seen him play basketball. But, like, I think they should start taking upside swings. They should start going for 19-year-olds again.
He's a real human being you've seen on a basketball court before, which it's an upgrade over Shaedon Sharpe already.
He's made up.
We're at what pick? We're about to be a pick 8 now, and Keegan Murray, who's definitely going to go top 5 or 6. is still on the board. Seems like no one actually wants to draft him. But yeah, no, I like the AJ Griffin pick there. The thing about AJ Griffin that it seems like everyone is worried about. So he's had injuries. He, he's an insane shooter. Apparently he's been working out with the Knicks. He has not been doing great in interviews apparently. And he wants to play for the Knicks, it seems like, which hats off to him.
Who doesn't?
And his shot looks like, those videos with David Byrne in the big ass suits? He looks like that, just hopping around with the wide base. It's so interesting to watch him shoot a basketball.
Yeah, well, I do think that he's probably going to fall somewhere in this range, if I had to guess. I would say somewhere between 7 and 12, maybe, where Oklahoma City picks. I think that I know a lot of people who are high on him. I know a lot of people who have him as high as 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure how to feel about him. I probably got to watch a little bit more of him, to be honest. But, got the pedigree, went to Duke, all that shit.
I also think Coach K kind of hasn't been a good coach in a couple years.
Yeah,
I think he's just getting out schemed. He's getting beat. Like, there's a reason why Baylor, Virginia, Villanova, like they're killing it, and Duke has kind of they exist. They're competitive, but like they're getting beaten by newer coaches for a reason.
Baylor is the dog pound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love some K slander as a UNC guy. I think that watching AJ torch us in the first game and how easily Hubert schemed against AJ to completely take him out of the game in the second time we played, I think he had maybe 3 or 4 points.
Roy Williams retiring 1 year early to escape the slander. Love to see it.
Yeah, he did it the right way, unlike the retirement tour that K went on, which was ended in the most humiliating defeat that school will ever experience. Thank God, man. I wouldn't have shown my face for like 2 months if UNC had lost that game.
R.I.P. Bozo. Yeah, Coach K sucks. Fuck that guy. So now we are on to the next pick, which is I have the New Orleans Pelicans. I do think they end up keeping this pick. I think they probably – I'm looking down the list now of guys because I don't really know enough about Dyson Daniels to draft him, although it does seem like based on everything that I have heard about Dyson Daniels that he might be a nice fit there. They need defenders. They need a facilitator. They need kind of connective pieces. They could go – honestly, you know what? I think I'm going to pull an upset here. I'm going to take Jalen Duren. And the reason I'm going to take Jalen Duren here is because I think that team, generally speaking, when it comes to centers, I'm not for drafting a center this high, but you guys took all the wings and guards that I wanted to draft here. Why are you looking at me sideways? Why do you?
Because you fucking despise James Wiseman, and then you take his junior, you take his understudy.
We went over this before. I didn't like the fact that James Wiseman was taken with the 2nd overall pick.
Yeah, you hate that he speaks Mandarin.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, exactly. And also, I just hate, and now that the Warriors are back in the finals, it makes me sick. But I just hate the fact that all we'll hear is propaganda about – we heard propaganda about that. Send Jalen Duren to New Orleans. Let him do whatever down there. Mm-hmm. Let him develop. And, like, I don't know. What is Jonas Valanciunas, 31? Develop Duren to be this – what?
Is he?
I think he's a little younger.
I thought he was like 28.
No.
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas has got to be at least 30.
He is 30.
Okay, there you go. So you'll have a replacement for him ready to go. Right now, they want to try to compete anyway, so I don't think that they're going to take like a super raw guy that they're going to have to develop over the course of time. I think Duren's going to be a pretty good player from the jump, like a rotational center. I think he can develop into something more. They need defense. They need someone on the back line that's a good defender. Like, if you're ever going to try to work it out with Zion, if he ever is – I don't even know what's going on with him, but if he ever plays basketball again, if you have Zion, Ingram, and CJ, you just need to put good defenders around them. So that's why I went with Duren here. Generally speaking, against my philosophy to draft a center top 10, but I feel like Duren's going to be pretty good. Also a safe pick, and I wanted to go with AJ Griffin here, and you took him right before I could go. So, all right, who is up next? We got Dash.
I'm feeling like a real shrewd GM right now because I was between Dyson and Mathurin at 5, and now I get to take Dyson here, which is really exciting.
Nice.
Probably has the coolest name in the draft, Dyson Daniels. I mean, Mike Breen's going to love saying that shit. And he's probably the best perimeter defender that we have in this draft. I got to see him in person, actually. I was at a Go-Go Ignite game. I was there for Scoot, but Jaden Hardy randomly scored 30 points, and so did Michael Foster. Really weird game. But he is deceivingly athletic. I know that's been a knock on him, and he somehow keeps growing. He grew almost 3 inches, I think, during the season, which is just not something that happens very often. And I think he has a 7-foot wingspan, can guard pretty much every position on the floor. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, he kind of seems, he's Australian, right? I'm thinking of the right guy here. Yeah, Dyson Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is up with the Australian? So what's his shot like? Like, is he going to project to be a shooter at the next level, or is that something that he's going to need to develop?
It's horrible right now.
That was the
But he actually has a good floater touch. The free throws are weird. So they do 1 shot for 2 points.
Right.
And so his free throw percentage is kind of out of whack. It's not good at all. I think his 3-point percentage is under 30%. But, when you have that 10-foot floater, you give me some hope that you can eventually be a good shooter, right? So we'll have to.
For sure.
We'll
It's a good indicator. Yeah. I just think it's funny. It seems like every year we have a new Australian tall point guard who can't shoot. It's like every other year at this point. We had Giddey last year, so not even every other year. But
that's the thing too about the Spurs is because they have Chip England, the shooting coach that worked with the guys, so it probably is a good fit for him.
Damn it! I should have taken him because the Pelicans have Fred Vincent, the only other shooting coach that anyone knows.
Yeah, those are the only 2 shooting coaches that anybody knows.
Yeah, they should be. I talked about this on the last episode. They should make $1 million a year. They're literally like, just throw a bag at these guys, because clearly they're turning guys with broken shots into like legit shooters. I think that drafting for guys that don't have that skill and then building into it, like, that's just fucking invaluable, dude. That's an insane thing to do. I can't believe Keegan Murray's still on the board. All right, so next pick. We have.
Yeah, I know, and he's still on the board, and I'm still not going to pick him because it just doesn't make any fucking sense for the Washington Wizards to have him.
Well, you don't have.
You have Kyle Kuzma. You don't
have the Wizards, Parm.
I
don't.
I'm Wizards.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Oh,
thank God.
I also am not going to pick Keegan Murray. I don't like.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Can we Can we have this bit going and just literally no one drafts Keegan Murray?
Keegan Murray, you are a Philadelphia 76er. I'm also not going to draft Shaedon Sharpe because he is an NFT as well. I don't, like you said, I don't like a toolsy guy. I don't like a mystery box. He feels like a Jarrett Culver to me. Like he's just going to be a guy. I don't trust him. I don't like it. So I'm not going to go for him. What do the Wizards need desperately? Any kind of guard that's not Bradley Beal. So I'm going to take Johnny Davis. I think he's good on ball. I think he's good off ball. He can shoot, he can defend a little bit. So I think that would be the move for the Wiz. And I think they'll probably do that if he's available.
He was in for a private workout, I think, this morning, and the word was that they were obsessed with him and that it went really well. So I think
I saw a video. I saw a video of him just nailing like 10 three above the break threes in a row in his workout. So sounds like it went pretty well. Yeah, I don't know
what they say about Ted Leonsis. The man's just fucking obsessed with the Crunchwrap Supreme. He saw Johnny Davis in that Taco Bell commercial. He couldn't take his eyes off him.
How did that
for
happen?
20 years?
How did Taco Bell think that anybody except for terminally ill basketball fans would know who Johnny Davis is?
I saw someone on Twitter say, I thought that was a made-up player until someone tweeted about it.
He does have a 2K ass name. Johnny Davis. Like
Yeah.
literally just generic as fuck. Okay, so Johnny Davis, yeah, I like that pick there, actually. I mean, once again, the Wizards just, who cares? Just draft talent. Johnny Davis seems to be rising up boards. He'll probably end up going here, like you said. If they did really like it, then that would make a lot of sense to me. So Wizards at 10, take Johnny Davis. Good pick. Parm, you have the New York Knickerbockers up at number 11. So where are we Where are we? The Big Apple, baby. What are we feeling here? James Dolan's boys.
I feel like I would love to keep the bit going, but I feel like it's just time. It's Keegan Murray time. Just pick him. Obi Toppin is mid. They can both be mid together and play a combined 48 minutes per game as a power forward. And it'll be fine, you know? And then they can think about anything else. They can think about why the hell do we still employ Julius Randle? Why have we never drafted a point guard ever? That is good. You know, that it just puts peace of mind. They have one position that they're good at. That's power forward. Those are the New York Knicks.
Also, I will say, based on the Knicks' recent draft history, they love to draft guys whose ceiling is like the 5th best player on a team.
Yeah.
So
You bet.
there you go, dude. Like no one clowns the Knicks for fucking up their picks anymore, but they also just never take risks. They're always just like, yeah, just draft the guy who will like probably be pretty good. Just take him. You'll be fine. So not a bad strategy, but also it's not going to change your franchise by any means. Okay.
Well, it's also like Tibbs is just Doc Jr. and he's playing Alec Burks 33 minutes a night, so it doesn't matter who you take.
True. Actually, that's a good point. I mean, they came from the same school, dude. Same school of the Boston Hard Knocks background. So I do think that anyone that they drafted is not going to play. But Keegan Murray being, 22 years old, he might be able to crack the rotation. Although Obi Toppin is like 45 and he doesn't crack the rotation that often. So it's hard to say. Okay, so I have the Oklahoma City Thunder up next. I would probably go, just based on the guys that I'm like familiar with, I'd probably go with Malachi Branham here, but I don't think they would take him. I think that they're going to be picking between Shaedon Sharpe and Tari Eason, who apparently has been falling recently, but I'm just going to go with Shaedon Sharpe, even though I think that, wait, who did they took Chet Holmgren earlier? Yeah. I'm taking Shaedon Sharpe because I don't know anything about Shaedon Sharpe.
Exactly.
He's just like a guy. I've seen a few clips. Don't really know what to make of him. Perfect Presti pick. Like, he took Poku and like the only footage that they could find from Poku was filmed on like a Game Boy Advance SP. So like it would make a lot of sense to me that they would take a guy like Shaedon Sharpe here who no one has any fucking clue whether didn't play in college. All they have is high school footage of him. We don't really know what he's going to be at the next level. And it just feels like Presti's just going to keep taking picks, taking upside swings, taking random swings on guys because he can afford to do that because he has literally every pick until 2027. So that's what I'm going to go with here. Shaedon Sharpe. Next pick on the board is Dash with the Charlotte Hornets. Dash, who are we going with here? I can scroll down if you need me to as well.
So I was dead set on taking Mark Williams here because the Hornets have never had a center. Ever since Kupchak got fired from the Lakers, I think the best center on that roster was Mozgov. Maybe
Yeah.
Black. I don't know. He has this aversion to centers, so I kind of want to force him to take one. But then Eason has also fallen, and the Hornets are an atrocious defense. It would be great to have that perimeter D with Eason. But I think that you have to make LaMelo happy. You need to give him a good lob threat, someone that can play drop really solidly and immediately is the tallest person in the NBA with his standing reach that was 30 feet or whatever at the combine.
Yeah.
Right? He was just cleaning up those mistakes for the Duke Wings the whole season. Really solid player who will contribute right now. So I think that I don't love drafting for need anywhere in the lottery, but I just think it makes too much sense to not take Williams here.
Yeah, my thing with the Hornets is like literally just get a fucking center, dude. Like why do we do this every year where they're linked to a different center and then they just never acquire them. They don't draft them. They don't fucking do anything. So even though I think Mark Williams is a safe pick. Like I think that he probably levels out as like a average starting center in the NBA, but that's fine for what the Hornets need right now. Like you said, like you need a lob threat with LaMelo. I like the pick. Also, they have another pick coming up here soon, so you can take multiple swings on guys too. You can just take like dudes that you need to play right now, basically. And it does sound like they might be open to PJ Washington, who they are forced to play at center sometimes because they refuse to acquire one. So that was a solid pick there. All right, Daniel, you have Cleveland at 14. Who you going with here?
I do. Who are the two biggest frauds on the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Karis LeVert and Lauri Markkanen.
I would say Karis LeVert and either Colin Sexton or Isaac Okoro. I think they're all made up. Don't like them. So I think they need someone in that kind of like guard forward position. And I think if you're going to play like Mobley and Jared Allen together a lot, you just need shooting and hooping. And like we said, it's a drafted hooper. So I'm going to take Malachi.
Yeah. I like that pick.
You can shoot off the dribble. You can catch and shoot. He's like he's an offensive guy, and they have enough defense now, so they should just get another guy.
Yeah, I like Malachi Branham. I think he's going to be pretty good. Also, Ohio went to Ohio State, Cleveland. Apparently, they've worked him out, and they like Branham, and I've heard that they also like Eason. So I think either one of them could go.
Those were my top two.
Well, it does seem like I don't even remember. Kobe Altman is the Cleveland GM. It seems like he is doing the Elton Brand thing where he's just like, I'm going to try to play a ton of massive guys. And he had, Jared Allen, Mobley, Markkanen, Love, and now they're apparently were interested in like Tobias and like other fours. And I'm like, I just don't really understand what's going on there. They need solid guard play other than Darius Garland, who's obviously a star. And I agree with you. I don't really believe in Karis LeVert as that guy, or who knows what's going on with Colin Sexton if he's even going to be back with them next season. So, all right, Parm, you're up next.
All right, I'm going to stick
this
to
is the
my
Charlotte Hornets again. By the way,
I'm going to stick to my guns on the mock that I have on my nifty little spreadsheet. I think I also would have picked Mark Williams at 13, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go Terry Eason at 15.
Damn it. All right. So Eason, for some reason, is falling in the draft. He's lower on consensus boards now. I just think, like, how old is he? Is 20? I think 20, maybe 21. Crazy productive for a guy that doesn't play a ton of minutes. Like, it breaks my brain to see I think he averages 40 points per 100 possessions, 45 points maybe. His defense is his defensive steal and block numbers are insane, but apparently he's questionable as a decision maker, not a great passer. The shot is questionable. So you're kind of just hoping that you can develop those parts of his game. And, they don't. Like, I feel like the defense should be good enough that he will be fine. Like, I feel like I like that pick there. I'm surprised he's not going higher just because of what everyone in the NBA loves, which is just big wings who can score and defend. Like, if he can't score at the next level, then obviously that's an issue. But I don't know. I can't really see this guy failing at the next level just based on like the production and his tools.
When I saw that his hands measured similar to Kawhi's, I was like, yeah, this guy's going top 10. Someone's going to for sure fall in love with the stock rate. It's like 5 stocks per 36, something insane. Yeah. I know you see those nerd searches on Twitter that are like, guys with 0.9 block rate, 0.2 assist rate, and 0.7 free throw rate in December.
The Thad Young thing, yeah.
Right. It's Tari Eason who comes up on all those searches. So,
everyone, yes.
Yeah.
I also think it's a factor is I buy into the idea that one of Miles Bridges or PJ Washington might be gone in a potential trade in the offseason, so you want to make sure that you're double stocked in case you end up trading one of them to get a big time center, like a DeAndre Ayton.
Well,
or
they
a
just
Rudy
drafted Mark
Gobert.
Williams, so obviously they won't be doing that. Yeah, I mean they could theoretically. I don't know. We'll see. I think Ayton might be realistic just because he fits the timeline a little bit of what they're doing in Charlotte. But yeah, no, I think Eason and Williams are both good picks there. I think that's going to be. But you guys have fucked me here because now I don't know who to pick for the Atlanta Hawks because team building around Trae Young, I can't draft any of these point guards. I just don't know enough about Dang to feel good about drafting him. Can you guys tell me a little bit more about Dang? Because I feel like Parm, he's probably one of your guys.
Yeah, he is a most definitely a Parm's pick. He is one of my faves. I love Ousmane Dieng.
Tell me about him.
Just like he's just one of those guys that like has been playing professional basketball since he was like 15, 16 years old. Like playing professionally in France, then decided, which I think ultimately to a detriment to his draft stock, decided to sign that Next Stars deal and go play in Australia. Ultimately, I think if he stuck around in France and played for like Tony Parker's team, I think he'd be a lot higher. Like we're talking like within top 10 range.
But he went to New Zealand?
Yeah, he was really shaky for like the first month of the season and then figured it out. This is a little ludicrous, but like I think he is, as far as like Next Stars Australian guys go, he is as hype of a guy as like LaMelo Ball. He's much closer to LaMelo than he is to RJ Hampton in terms of like what it like his star potential.
Wow. Okay. Well then, fuck it. I'll draft him. You sold me on Dang. I once again don't know nearly enough about this dude, but you can't draft a point guard, and all the other guys are guys that I think would be reaches at this point. Although I have heard some.
Oh yeah, you can't take Terquavian Smith right now.
No, yeah, no one can draft him. He pulled out of the draft. I don't know why he's still on here, but yeah, you can't take Terquavian Smith. All these guys are projected to go late teens, early 20s. I just think that at this range, you got to go with the upside swing. Sure, sounds good. I don't know. I don't know anything about him to say enough. But all right, Dash, you are up next with your pick. The Houston Rockets at number 17. What are you going with here?
So Denver and Houston had this really bizarre game where Kevin Porter left the arena during halftime and just
I remember.
And I think Christian Wood also got benched for refusing to go in or something. Like they just have nobody that exhibits any sort of leadership, nobody that makes that team an actual professional organization. So I think that the pick here is EJ Liddell, someone that will just bring some stability, does all the little things that you want, plays winning basketball, really developed his shot, got feedback last year when he went through the draft process and really answered all the questions that people had about him. The only thing is he's a little bit undersized. He's kind of caught between 4 and 5, but I like the shot. I like the defense. I think that even if he isn't anything more than a 4th or 5th guy in a starting lineup, he could help actually establish any sort of real professional team in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think Liddell's a safe pick. He's a good pick. I was hoping that he was going to fall to 23 for the Sixers. So at this rate, I think like a lot of the upside swing type guys are gone. As you said, Houston already got, who'd they get at 3 again? They got Jabari. Yeah. Okay. They've got enough young talent that you can develop. I think Liddell's a plug and play guy. I like that there.
That is interesting positional fit wise though. Like,
well,
do you think Liddell is a small forward? Like, can he play down?
He's probably going to play the 4.
Because I'm just thinking right? Like you have Sengun, you have Garuba, you have Jabari Smith.
Garuba isn't real, unfortunately.
That is fake. He's a future defensive player of the year.
Well, I did think that, but I think that Liddell might be able to get away with some 3, especially in the regular season. In the playoffs, obviously, that's a whole different question. But the Rockets aren't going to be in the playoffs for a long time, so they can figure that out later. Like
Yeah.
we talked about, we're kicking Christian Wood to the curb. We have some minutes to throw around. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Once again, they are at the point where they are just trying to acquire talent. So I don't really think they can worry too much about like fit and stuff like that. They're in rebuild mode. You can figure that stuff out later. And then, so we have Daniel at 18 with Chicago. Oh, yeah. By the way, didn't you call this, Dash? Didn't you say that Liddell was going to get picked right before Chicago? Because NBA Couchside wants them to get Liddell as well at 18. And you just...
I thought he was perfect. I thought he was perfect for Chicago. So I forgot that I subliminally just did that to him. I apologize.
That's funny. But all right, Daniel, who are you taking here?
Yeah, so, talking about plug-and-play guys, they're looking to compete. They're looking for wings. They're looking for a little bit of defense. They already got a lot of guys who handle the ball, so I'm going to go with Ochai.
Okay.
Abaji, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I think you got it.
He's 6'5". He shot 40%. He took 7 attempts, and I think he's 22, so he'll come in and just be a serviceable player. He can play defense. He can handle a little bit. It takes some of the load off what I assume Patrick Williams is the only wing defender they have. So
yeah,
I think it's the best available guy.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Kind of similar to the Io AO. How do you say it? Is it AO or IO? I just call him AO because that's how it's spelled. But kind of similar to that in that they're taking a guy who's a little bit older, a guy who can probably play right away. You hope at least. I think that's fine. A lot of the point guards are falling now. So we are at pick 19. So Parm, you're up. Minnesota Timberwolves. Who are you going with here?
I think it's time. I think it's time to take a guard off the board. And what's crazy is I think you could. I would be perfectly happy with either of Ty or Kennedy Chandler. It's legitimately a coin toss for me. It's very tough. Probably Ty would be my pick just because he's a little larger.
All right, Ty. Is he going to follow in the lineage of Kentucky guards who are not very good at Kentucky and then are good in the NBA?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Seems like he had an ankle injury for most of the season, but still was one of the best mid-range shooters in the country, right? So I think that I would definitely prefer him to Kennedy Chandler. Obviously Keegan Murray, but small guards. Connolly's philosophy in Denver was stack Campazzo and Forbes on top of each other and create this monster that made me despise basketball. So never accept Kennedy Chandler in this draft. I think Ty's a good pick.
Well, they're probably moving on from D'Angelo Russell this offseason if they can find a trade. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Drafting a point guard here to play next to Ann and Kat, not the worst idea in the world. Although they do have Bolsonaro still.
They have Bolmaro. Bolmaro. They have Jordan McLaughlin too, the GOAT, 5'10" king. Yeah. No, they're just once again the Conley strategy of just stacking guards on top of each other. You also never know. Ricky Rubio could come back. Fuck it.
The third time? Why not?
Hey, he's coming off an ACL. He needs to go somewhere. Might as well.
You can just go hang out, dude. All right. Okay. So now we have up. Next pick is me, right? I'm picking. Oh God, let's look at the team I'm picking for, because every time I seem to get here, I seem to. Okay, I have the San Antonio Spurs. You know what? The Spurs love wings, right? Let's draft Jalen Williams. So
okay,
right?
Okay, I'm sad for those.
I'm sorry. I know that you're a big Jalen Williams guy. I know that he's been skyrocketing up boards recently.
He was going crazy in the combine in the 3-on-3.
Right. So I have my concerns about him only just based on literally one tweet I saw, which is always a good way to have concerns about a guy. And it was basically like a list of guys who got drafted because they were talking about him going as high as the lottery, Jalen Williams. I'm thinking from the perspective of the Spurs, they just draft wings, then they figure out the rest later. They're an entire team of wings basically at this point. But Jalen Williams, it was this stat, and it was one of those like, you know, it was all the players that were upperclassmen that were drafted in the lottery that had below a 7 BPM, and pretty much every single one of them was a bust. And Jalen Williams has a 5.0 BPM, but also like it seems like he's pretty good in the pick and roll. Seems like to project to be a pretty good shooter and defender. Like, I don't know, what is he, 21 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it seems like a fine time to take Jalen Williams. I think he probably will end up going higher than this, though, based on everything that's coming out of the combine and workouts and all that shit. Like, it sounds like he could end up at the end of the lottery, if not the mid-teens. Mm-hmm. So I just got him, I believe, at pick 20? Yeah. Yep. Now we got 21 with the Denver Nuggets. So, Dash, are you taking the Nuggets? You have the Nuggets pick?
Yeah, I got lucky. I thought you signed this as a present, but I
did not.
I was actually targeting Jalen Williams here, but I was saying this to Trill that his rise kind of feels like a crypto bubble that someone's going to get caught holding the bag just because he went from no one knowing who he was to fringe second round to all of a sudden lottery. It kind of feels like I'm being sold a scam, but at the same time, his numbers are really good and his pocket passing is crazy. All the indicators of a good pro are there. And for Denver, they need someone that can contribute now, but also arguably my favorite player in the draft is still on the board, Blake Wesley, who is 6'5".
Oh, all right.
He can play some defense. It was between him and Beauchamp here, but I'm going to go ahead and take Wesley, who I think just turned 19, gets to the paint, can't score at the rim yet, so him and Bones will have that in common, but his defense is pretty good. He gets a lot of steals. He can get around screens. He's going to put on some weight. And if it doesn't work out, we can just RJ Hampton him and trade him at the deadline for somebody that will have playoffs.
Hey,
there you go. Just trick someone into taking him. Although, are you still RJ Hampton filled, Farm? You an RJ Hampton guy?
Like I don't even know. Like I don't understand them. The Magic have so many fucking guys on it that like some of them have to be bad, but all of them are my picks. So it's like I this is like the ultimate litmus test for me. Like I have no idea which ones are going to be bad now because they're all on the same team.
I think it's based on the guys that you tend to fall in love with. It's safe to say they could all just be pretty bad.
You know, they could be, but you know, you never know. Jalen Suggs could turn it around. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I think Bobo's Thon Maker.
Dude, if Suggs and Hampton just do dribbling drills until 5 a.m. every night, they can both be pretty good.
Yeah.
If they learn how to dribble a basketball.
Jimmy Butler plan, stay up till 5, and there you go. All right. So next pick up on the board, we have Daniel selecting for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah. So we're right before the Sixers.
Yes. So who are you gonna steal?
I got.
No.
I know. But like, think about it. Like he plays his ass off. Like he's a dog. He was a guard. He can do a little bit of everything. He's like a connective glue guy. It's like it'll be him and DeAnthony Melton and Xavier Tillman and like all these awesome dudes. It's such a Grizz pick to me.
Dalen Terry.
Unfortunately, yeah. Sorry to the Sixers. I know.
Have you watched him run? He runs like a baby deer that's about to tip over at any moment, dude. It's so interesting because he doesn't actually fall that often, but I'm always so concerned. I want to like go spot him when he's running up and down the court.
Cool. Maybe Joel can teach him how to fall because that's all he does. So, oh man. So, Parm, you have the Sixers pick, right?
I do indeed.
At 23, we got to talk about this.
Well, I'm not a fucking moron. I'm not trading Tobias Harris for Brad Beal. I'm not a fucking dipshit. So, no guards. Sorry to Kennedy Chandler. Love you,
I wanted you to take Kennedy Chandler.
We are going to the beautiful Adriatic nation of Croatia. and picking up Nikola Jovic.
Oh my God.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get Dario Saric 2. He's going to revolutionize the league. He is the new Drazen Petrovic for like whatever the 75th time that a Croatian guy gets compared to Drazen Petrovic. We're going to do it. He was Daryl's in Croatia watching him and Petrusev, you know. If he falls this far, why not?
So, Dash, are you the one who said the only reason that this guy's getting drafted is because his name is similar to Jokic?
No, but I will go ahead and just take credit for that.
I'm concerned. I know that he has shooting, he has some playmaking potential, some all that stuff. I'm concerned because I watch the playoffs and I'm like watching guys just get absolutely fucking cooked left and right defensively. And from what I've heard, he has some issues defensively, and a lot of them are due to some things that he might not be able to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
being a slow white guy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
but that's the philosophy of the Sixers. You need another slow person. You don't have.
It's true. Let's do it. Let's lean into the bit and let's create the slowest team that has ever existed. Let's acquire who can we acquire?
Kyle Anderson. Come on.
Kyle Anderson. Let's get Kyle Anderson in here. Eric Gordon's not slow, but he's old now, so let's get him. PJ Tucker. Let's just go. Let's rebuild the Rockets. Bring in Slow-Mo. Bring in Jovic. Is it Jovic?
Yeah, Jovic.
Okay, so Nikola Jovic and Joel Embiid finally teammates.
My only alternative at this pick that I thought of was absolutely just fucking reaching into the mid-second and getting Roddy, because I just don't think.
Oh, love David Roddy.
Because like Kendall Brown, like I just think is too much of a project. We already have a project. Leonard Miller is fake. Jake LaRavia and all the other Italians suck. I am Italian American. I can say this.
Slow. He's so slow.
Yeah. He also kind of looks like me, so not a good look.
Beauchamp is another interesting one. I would be happy with. I've thought about it.
I think if this is how the board breaks, that it would be Jovic or Beauchamp.
Yeah.
Based on everything that I've heard. They've scouted Jovic.
Yeah.
They brought in Beauchamp for a workout. I don't know.
It seems like another mystery box guy to me, though, in a way. Because the guy apparently is like, he's Mr. like bounces around a million AAU teams.
Yeah.
And then like went to like a weird camp, and then like, you know, whatever. Like he's just like all over the place, and I can't get a read on him as a player.
3 high schools, not a good sign according to Bill Simmons. Went to multiple high schools. He's 20.
Kevin Durant went to what, like 4?
Yeah, apparently that's an outdated thing. And
I think that his parents moved him for one, and then during COVID he pulled out of a school and went to another. But like it's still not good. And then he started at a community college or something, JUCO. Yeah. But he was almost at like 75% at the rim, I think, at Ignite. So you have that. Yeah. You have a guy that can defend. I don't know. I think he'd be good on the Sixers or on Denver.
I think the one thing that I liked just on watching him is he seems like a pretty good rebounder for a wing his size. And the Sixers, like we make all of these big deals about like when we lost Drummond and our rebounding sucked, and like why like it's just so frustrating. Like we need wings and guards who can rebound much more than we need bigs who can rebound. So if they were to take Beauchamp here, I do think that he would help in that department as well. So I don't know. I see someone in the comments saying no more white players, please. So not thrilled with the Jovic pick.
The thing with Jovic is he doesn't have to be fast. He just has to be faster than George Niang. Which is
true.
Be fine.
It's a very low bar. Very low bar. All right, so I am up. Milwaukee Bucks time. I'm just going to take Kennedy Chandler here. I think he's the – what was that?
I kind of thought that in my head, I think they're going to go Kessler.
Maybe. I could see that little Brook Rope.
Exactly.
I want to punish the Bucks. I had him picking Pat Baldwin because I hate him, and I want him to suffer.
He is the ugliest player in the draft. He has a Shamit face. I didn't come up with that term, but I think it's excellent for identifying the ugliest.
I would not draft him with the 60th overall pick. Straight up. I think
He's slower than you.
he is the bar none the worst player in this draft. It is a stunning achievement that he is even remotely considered a first round prospect. I've never seen a more like bona fide clunker ever.
Yeah. All right, where is he ranked right now, Patrick Bowman? 34th. Also went to Milwaukee. Oh man, yeah, he is unfortunate looking. Jesus.
Literally has never not played for his father. The NBA will be the first time he's not playing for his dad, getting daddy ball usage. Like, no thanks.
Yeah,
he could have played for Calipari, Kentucky, and you should have, because then I would have like thought you were the real deal. But you put up a bona fide stinker on a shit school. Like, you're trash, and your dad is the only reason you're good. I would not
draft you at the 16th. So, Jesus Christ. Patrick Baldwin. So, wait, was he one of those my dad owned a high school guys?
Yes.
What is up with the Imani Bates' dad?
I don't know what the deal is right? With this. LeVar Ball's not even doing that.
Yeah. First off, who owns a high school?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. How you can just buy a charter school. I guess Andre Agassi did it, the tennis player.
The fuck?
He owns one in like Vegas, I think.
Oh my god.
Mikey Williams too, who is horrible and is somehow still a 5-star prospect. I see him on social media all the time. You know, when you open Snapchat and you get those
Snapchat videos. Yeah.
They're like the smallest cartel bodybuilder ever created. And then next to it you have Mikey Williams' dad just bought this new character.
Dude, the one of those on Kenny Lofton was so sick. You were like, this is the fattest player of all time.
Question: does Kenneth Lofton Jr., who, if you're not familiar with him, Google a picture of him. Does he end up on an NBA team next year?
God, I fucking hope so.
I think so.
Dude.
Yeah,
he's gonna do what Kennedy Meeks couldn't do. He's gonna carry the torch. And he's the best fat player.
Yeah, he's gonna be summer league Shaq, and then someone will pick him up.
Yeah, I was gonna say thick boy summer. I see it coming.
He was really good at the combine.
Yeah, I think he's so if he just if you Google him and look what he looks like, if he was not that guy, he would be a really highly touted prospect that a lot of people would be really excited about. Like if you just took Kendall Brown's picture and then I told you what Kenny Lofton does, you would be like, yeah, I'm picking that guy 15th overall easy.
So what you're trying to tell me is the new market inefficiency is
it's fat shaming. You bet. It's fat and short shaming. That's the market inefficiency.
Can't wait until we see our boy on an NBA roster next year. Okay, so I don't even have to explain who Kenneth Lofton is. He's literally the picture with Chet for this stream, so you will have seen him if you're watching on the stream. All right. So up next is Dash. I believe you have the Spurs pick here, 25, right? Yeah.
The most Spurs pick of all time is probably Leonard Miller here.
Yep.
And I'm just going to do it because they can afford to be idiots and take guys like that.
Wait,
maybe he works out. His shot, it's like a snowflake. It's different every single time you watch it, dude. His feet are super wide or they're on top of each other, but it goes in sometimes, and he's 6'10" and can dribble. Just seems like a Spurs project that they will take. What is this, their third pick in the first round? Their second?
Yeah, I think it's their third first-round pick.
It's interesting to give him a guaranteed deal.
You're right in that you could probably wait and take him in the late 30s or 40s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he gets past Toronto. I feel like he is just built for Masai. Like Masai is going to just shove this Canadian superstar, like noodly shooter big man. He's going to shove him in the 905 for like 2 years, and then he's going to come out and you're going to just be like, where the fuck did this guy come from?
Yeah, all I've heard about him is exactly what you guys are saying, which is like total upside swing, skilled, big guy. Like, I don't know. I can't say I know too much about him, but it does sound like a Spurs pick. It sounds like a Raptors pick. So I would imagine it does sound like, isn't he getting some late first round, early second round buzz, or did I make that up? Okay. Yeah.
The only game I've seen of him was the Combine, and he was like the worst player
Yep.
I've ever seen. So
Well, I meant to bring this up when it comes to not to be like, hey, let's go shit on Patrick Baldwin again. But here we go. Patrick Baldwin. Okay, so he had like the worst measurables in combine history. And then he also had like the worst BPM of any prospect. Like he has like a -3 BPM, which is like unheard of for a guy who could potentially go at the end of the first round. So can someone just tell me why this guy is even being drafted? Because I watched a little bit of him and I heard about like the shot and that stuff. And then you guys bullied me into watching more of him. And I was like, and then I read more into him and was like, yeah, no, I can see why you guys hate him.
He stinks.
He's
so
like,
bad.
yeah.
Bruno, he stinks. This guy stinks.
he's going to go on a rat team.
His daddy's not going to be there to back him up.
Yeah. I'd like you to remind you that Scala Bassier was the #1 high school recruit in the nation, and that's his appeal.
That's what I
It's
was
the
going to say.
same thing.
I tend to fall in love with the guys that are high recruits, and then after 1 year, like they suck. They totally suck in college. Like BJ Boston, I love BJ Boston last year, but like BJ Boston wasn't as bad as this guy was.
When Daniel said Harry Giles in that tweet, I felt like I was being shot with a gun in my chest. Like I just died inside a little bit.
Disrespect to Harry Giles.
No disrespect intended.
It's all about we're bringing back horny for Harry season. We're bringing it back. He had a pretty good year on the Agua Caliente Clippers. I think he's deserving of a 2-way.
All right, I'm gonna mute your mic. All right, the Agua Caliente. So that's the sickest thing anyone's ever said on this fucking. Daryl, if you're watching, Harry Giles, horny for Harry season. Bring him to Philly. We need him. All right, Daniel, you're up next.
All right.
Sadly, we can't draft Terquavian Smith.
No.
So, who are we going with here?
I'm going to go with Christian Braun here.
Christian Braun. Okay.
Yeah.
This is horrendous looking. Just the fact that this.
Yeah, that's abysmal. But I love Sean Marion, so we're not going to judge anyone based on that. He's a dog. He's like a Pat Bev defender.
Yeah.
No disrespect to your boy, but he bullied Caleb Love. He's like, I was reading he had like a 40-inch vertical at the combine. Like he's nuts.
Who is this man?
Yeah.
He talks more shit than anybody in college basketball.
Yeah, I remember that.
I heard from some people that were at the Final Four, wish I had gone, but they said that he would just look at reporters and be like, fuck you, after he'd hit a shot, and just like be swearing at all these people watching the game, which I think is cool. Even though he is an asshole and I hate him, he's cool.
Dallas is a place for
Great
assholes.
Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas is a place for dicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban, Jason Kidd, Luka Doncic, like he's gonna. Oh my! And he's white too.
Come on.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
Wow.
like he's not a great ball handler, and his release is a little slow, but like he can rebound like crazy, and I think he'd be like a cool glue guy on the Mavs.
Cool. All right, so we have Parm. You're up next.
This is really hard for me because my immediate thought doing the Heat was Christian Braun. I was just like, get Tyler Hero twice. Why not? Like that's Heat culture, you know. Thinking about it, I think they could like. I don't know what the Heat need.
Right. Anyone
So-
who can dribble a basketball. Anyone who can create their own shot.
They need Bryce McGowan's.
I was thinking McGowan's. I was thinking Wendell Moore. I was also thinking that this would be a good time for them to. They could go Jaden Hardy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do though? I'm gonna say that their big men situation is looking a little ancient. with Markieff, PJ, and Udonis Haslem, who's technically on the team for no reason, I'm going to say Christian Coloco at 27 for Miami.
I knew you were going to pick him, dude. All right, hold on. I got to scroll down to the end of the earth here. All right, Christian Coloco. Tell me more about this guy, because I know that you love him. I know that he's the third Arizona guy that's getting drafted. Mm-hmm. Terry shot up the boards. He seems to have stayed in this like late first to mid second round or early second. So what's the deal with him? Why do you love him?
So first of all, dog. Most
importantly,
I think that he's a guy that like there's nothing wrong with his game. Like I think that if you are a team that needs a center in the second round, I'm reaching for him for Miami because I think he's better than Walker Kessler, and I think they could use a big man. And I'm not gonna go crazy and take like John Butler in the first round, although I really want to. I think like you get Duren and you get Mark Williams, and then after that it's like I don't even know. Christian Coloco might be as good as Mark Williams. Like I think you're taking a solid player. I don't think his upside is through the roof, but I think like he's exactly gonna be like he's gonna just end up being a Heat superstar.
His chance of shooting is much higher, I think, than Mark Williams. From what I've seen, he has much better touch.
I also think he gets a shitload of steals for like being a big man. You know, he gets a little bit of an assist game. Like what if he's like shitty Bam, and that would be great for the Heat if he could just be like kind of shitty Bam. Like you put him in as a backup center.
We got Bam and we got kind of shitty Bam coming off the bench. It's perfect. It's,
you know,
I mean, it's,
or like why not double down?
It's like Embiid to Drummond when we used to do that. And it was like, you know, he'd come and do it.
But that would actually work with Bam because I feel like you could duplicate Bam at the power forward and not lose anything the way you would with Embiid and Drummy.
That's true. All right, so now I'm up Golden State. I think that Golden State would probably take a swing on one of these guys, Kendall Brown, Bryce McGowan's, Beauchamp, one of the wings in this range that can, like, that's kind of more so what they need, I would say. But I just think I'm going to go with a guy who I think shouldn't have fell this far, and it makes no fucking sense. But I'm just going to draft Jaden Hardy because I knew that Dash wanted to draft Jaden Hardy. And I just think that right now, the way that Golden State is building, I think they just, once again, just want to get talent. Like, I think that right now they're looking towards the future as well as winning right now. So, you know, in your future core, you have Poole, you have Kuminga, you have, I don't know, maybe Wiseman, probably not. Probably Looney. He's still kind of young. Just get Jaden Hardy. He's talented. I think that Dash has said before he might be being a little bit undervalued right now as a hooper, as a shot creator, and maybe he could be the better version of Cam Thomas from last year. I guess that's the hope here at the end of the first round.
Yeah, they already drank from the G League Ignite pool last year. Took a big gulp. Got a superstar of the future, and Jonathan Kuminga might as well do it again.
There you go. All right, so Daniel. Wait, no, it's Dash and then Daniel. So last two picks here. Dash, who are we going with? I know you wanted to take your boy Jaden Hardy here, but unfortunately he's been taken. So Memphis up next. Who are you taking?
I thought that Hardy would be the ultimate Grizzly pick, that people are like, why the fuck did this guy fall to the Grizzlies again? They're so smart. When really it's just us being dumb and forgetting to take him. I considered Ryan Rollins here from Toledo. I think that he's really good and has a decent chance of getting drafted in this 25 to 30 range. But at this point, with Beauchamp being on the board and the Grizzlies kind of turning that corner to being contenders, I think he makes a lot of sense for them. You heard Jaylen Brown being thrown around there. They just need someone tall that can run around screens and can take Dylan Brooks' rat minutes and make it more audible for us that like to watch the NBA. So I think that Beauchamp is a good pick here.
All right, drafting a Dylan Brooks type player who doesn't try to assault and injure other players, which is a very cool, good fit. All right, sweet. So last pick here, first round, Daniel, who you going with? You can pick literally anyone on the board here.
Oh yeah. Talking about rat picks, I'm gonna pick the biggest rat yet, who I think should have been the Heat pick, just in terms of being an asshole, and that's Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams from Arkansas?
Yeah, like the charge god.
He would have been the Heat pick.
That's what I'm saying. He would have been. Yeah, he's such a Heat guy.
Interesting. I also regret my Heat pick because I forgot that I totally wanted Gene Montero and then didn't pick him.
Yeah.
I think he's also Heat pilled.
Jalen is like kind of spottily really good at everything. Like he's a really tough shot maker, and he can like ball handle and dribble as a center. And he like steals and blocks and passes a little bit. So I think he'd be really cool and worth taking a swing on in the first round.
Yeah. Also, Mike Chiodo, who famously every year watches the tournament and picks one guy that he says, hey, that guy's going to be good in the NBA. Usually turns out to be pretty good. Herb Jones was this guy last year.
Nice.
So Jalen Williams, this version of Jalen Williams, Jalen with an I, Williams is his guy this year, who he thinks is going to be good at the next level. So he's got the Chiodo approval. You got to trust that. So we got a great first round here. I think that the board is going to shake out something similar to this. Like I think that I think obviously there's going to be a ton of fucking trades on draft night. There always fucking is. There's going to be people moving around and shit. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Appreciate it. Everyone who took part in the mock draft, everyone who commented, and we will be back sometime soon. So thanks, dudes. Appreciate it.
Peace. Always.
See you.
See you guys.